Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. This is the Bitcoin chart, TA, and FA for December 6th, 2021. And the critical point today, guys, is $50,000. Can we hold or stay above that mark? On the stream this afternoon, we actually hit above $50,000. We've been sitting above $50,500 for a couple of hours now, but that's still not enough above. If we can actually go to 52, 53,000 sustain it, I think we will actually be testing 60,000 again this week. And hopefully we can get past 60,000 as well, but that's very, very speculative right now. Bitcoin US dollar is still at 50,644. We're not in the clear yet. We can easily go down. We will see that if we can shoot past 50,000 or if we get rejected. If we get rejected at 50,000, 40,000 is a possibility. Obviously, if we can sustain above 52, 53, 60,000 is a possibility by the end of this week. So there is a $20,000 room for maneuver right now. Not really sure which way it's going to go. I remain bullish as of the whole, but right now we are in a critical stage where $50,000 is the defining mark right now. So hopefully we can hold 50,000. In terms of technicals, on the daily, the oscillator is pretty neutral at 35 and 47 for the RSI and the stochastic. Commodity channel at negative 100 is actually in buy rating. It is oversold, but the average directional index is not all that strong, which means the commodity channel index means like it's not a downward trend, but there's really not an upward trend either. The awesome oscillator is actually down, more negative than before on the daily, so that implies like more of a stronger sell. So right now, like the oscillators are somewhat neutral at this point. In terms of the moving averages, it is all sell on the daily in terms of moving averages. For the 10 days, the exponential is lower than the simple. For the 20 days, the exponential is still lower than the simple. For 30 days, it is still lower. And for 50 days, it is still lower. So basically, bearish all the way on the daily. But like I said, that could quickly change if we hold above 50,000 up to 52, 53,000 for any amount of time. On the weekly, the oscillators are neutral, nothing there. There's not a strong directional index either way. The awesome oscillator is lower than what it was before at 9,600 on the weekly, but it's still positive and there wasn't a zero crossing. So right now, I would say the oscillators are fairly neutral on the weekly. Moving averages, exponentials lower than simple on the 10, slightly higher on the 20, and a lot higher on the 30. I would say on the weekly it is a slight buy, and I think at least for the first few weeks of December it will actually be a buy. I do believe that we are kind of bullish for the first 2 or 3 weeks of December at least. So right now overall it's saying neutral, but I would put overall as a weak buy right now in terms of the summary on the technicals on the weekly. Now when we get to the monthly, it is much stronger. The oscillators are neutral, and the stochastic is actually bordering on overbought. The average directional index, definitely higher than the weekly or daily, but still not extremely high. It's actually slightly weaker than it was before. The commodity channel index is also neutral. The awesome oscillator, I think, is slightly lower than what it was before, but not zero crossing to any extent. Therefore, we are neutral on the oscillators. In terms of the simple versus moving averages, obviously the exponential for 10 is going to be less, but for 20 and 30, they're obviously up. Now, 10 is technically less because it weighs so heavily in the last month. So I would say it's still a buy right now. I mean, here it says buy all the way, but I would actually say it's actually a buy right now. And the exponential obviously is like greater than the exponential last time we checked, even on the 10. So I would say like momentum overall should be shifting favorably, at least for the rest of this month. January, I'm not really sure. I still think our bull run will probably peak in March sometime, but we will actually see how that really goes. But I would say on the weekly and monthly, it is a buy. On the daily, I mean, I'm going to lean towards buy on the daily as well, because I do think there's a better chance that we'll actually sustain 50K. I do think like our liquidation of the longs that happened last week did clear out a lot of the longs, especially those who were over leveraged. And maybe there's not as much of an incentive to actually suppress the price anymore. So that's how we're at right now. In terms of like fundamental news, like there's always more adoption news. There's a lot more projects raising money with crypto. the one thing is like they are like probably putting restrictions on stablecoins, so that could actually be bad news. Not sure if it's actual bad news, but it could actually be bad news. Um, and obviously, like there's decentralization going on a lot of projects, and Grayscale has found that over 25% of U.S. households surveyed currently own Bitcoin. Now, I don't really trust that because I know a lot of U.S. households and they do not own Bitcoin. So I would say like Grayscale is pretty biased in their survey, and if you actually survey the United States households as a whole, you probably get more something like 5 to 10%, because 25% would mean you're not early anymore. So remember, not 100% of people are ever really going to be in this. So I do think regulations are coming to fruition, and as more and more people get into Bitcoin, there's going to be more and more incentive for politicians to actually be pro Bitcoin as well. So overall, the long-term look is very, very good. But I would say that Ethereum is probably more is looking better than Bitcoin right now because smart contracts, DeFi, NFTs, and games are really picking up, and you can't really build those on Bitcoin, but you can build them on ETH. So I would actually favor ETH even more over BTC in the investment circle. Obviously, like specific games and specific protocols like AVAX, like Engine, I'm very, very much bullish on too. I'm definitely more bullish on like more modern cryptos that actually have a higher through output and don't work off of proof of work that Ethereum is trying to move off of. So that's kind of my analysis for today. I'm fairly bullish for this week and next week. After that, I'm not quite sure, but I do think we might hit a lull at the end of December, but we will actually have to see. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.